She slammed the mug so hard the coffee jumped and splashed onto my hand. It stung. Sharp instant, then dull. I didn't move. "Shut up, old woman. I'm in charge here." Lorena snapped loud enough for the neighbors to hear if their window was cracked. I looked at my son. Jesse didn't say anything. He sat there with his toast half-bitten eyes lowered like it wasn't his house, like I wasn't his mother. I reached for the rag by the sink, wiped the table, wiped my hand. The coffee left a red patch on my skin. No one offered ice. "Next time, don't hover when I'm talking," she added, sitting down and stirring her second cup like nothing had happened. I kept wiping. The heat faded. The table cleaned up easy, but under the spill, the paper soaked through. A corner lifted. I pulled it free. The rent receipt. Last month's payment, $1,850 with my name at the top and their unit number in the middle. Still faintly legible, though the ink had run near the signature line, I folded it carefully and tucked it under the placemat. Jesse cleared his throat. No one looked at me. Lorena popped her toast. Jesse took his plate to the couch. She turned on the morning news like it was any other day. I rinsed the rag under cold water. My skin throbbed. The pain was sharpest in the silence. I dropped the rag into the sink, let it land heavy. Then I walked to my room, slow, steady, without a word. I stepped into the kitchen. 3 plates on the table, forks already clinking, no chair for me. Lorena glanced up, then right back down at her phone. "Oh, we thought you already ate." Jesse didn't even look, just passed her the salad. I opened the fridge, pulled out half a baked potato and the leftover chicken thigh, heated them without speaking. The microwave ticked down too loud. No one asked what I was doing. No one offered space. I grabbed a paper plate, poured water into a plastic cup, took a napkin, folded it once, and walked toward the porch. Behind me, they kept eating, talking about Jesse's promotion, about someone's baby shower, about a party next month I hadn't heard of. I sat on the porch step. It was still warm from the day. I ate with my back to them, my knees tucked close. One bite, one chew, one swallow at a time. Halfway through the potato, I stood and walked to the mailbox. Inside, one envelope. White. Stamped. Addressed in black ink to Marilee Vaughn, from the building office. I ran my finger under the seal but didn't open it yet. Just held it against my plate and returned to the steps. The hallway light above the door kept flickering. Buzz. Pause. Buzz. Then silence. Then again. I finished my chicken, wiped my mouth, and leaned back. Not tired. Just still. I could hear them laughing through the wall. Their plates scraped clean. My name hadn't been spoken once. I set down the bowl of dip, poured sweet tea into their glasses, refolded the napkins she'd tossed like paper towels. The front door swung open. Jesse's co-workers came in laughing, shaking off rain. Lorena greeted them with kisses on the cheek, light and fast. "Welcome, come in, come in. Sorry the place is a mess, his mom's staying with us a bit." She didn't even glance back. I stood in the kitchen doorway, towel still in my hand. One of the women smiled politely. The others just sat. I folded napkins at the counter, pressed them flat, smoothed the corners, stacked them by color. No one asked me to sit. No one made room. I heard Jesse crack a joke. Something about how the guest room now doubles as storage. More laughter. They called it storage. It was mine. I opened the second drawer near the fridge to get a cloth. Pushed past old menus, wrinkled coupons, some broken chopsticks. Then I saw it. A slim navy folder labeled in my handwriting, "Lease, Original." I stared at it for a second, just long enough to know it hadn't moved. Then closed the drawer and kept wiping. In the living room, someone mentioned vacation rentals. Lorena talked about switching to full ownership someday. Said Jesse deserved space. I carried out the snack tray. set it down. Cheese crackers, grapes. One of them thanked Lorena. Jessie nodded like she'd made it. I picked up 2 empty glasses. Someone handed me a third. I didn't correct them. I walked the dishes back into the kitchen. The door didn't swing behind me. No one noticed I'd gone. I stopped in the hallway and felt the air change. The wall was bare. No wedding photo. No frame. Just a pale square where something used to hang. I walked into the living room. The shelves were clean. Too clean. Jesse's childhood picture was gone. The one where he's missing a tooth. My parents' photo. Gone. I opened the door to the garage. The smell hit first. Dust. Oil. Old boxes. There it was. My wedding picture. Face down on top of a crate, marked tools. I lifted it. The glass was smudged. I wiped it with my sleeve, slow, careful, like I was touching a bruise. Lorena appeared behind me. Arms crossed. "It doesn't match the decor," she said like that, explained everything. I nodded once. No argument. No question. The frame felt heavier than it should have. When I turned it over, something slid out from behind the backing and fell to the floor. A bank receipt. I picked it up. Transfer confirmation. My account. Jesse's joint card. Last month. Same date as the rent. I folded the paper, put it in my pocket. My breath had gone shallow, like I'd been running without knowing it. Lorena was already walking away. I carried the frame to my room, opened my suitcase, set it inside between sweaters I hadn't worn in years. I locked the suitcase, slid the key off the ring, hid it under the sink behind the cleaning bottles. Then I sat on the edge of the bed and listened to the house settle around me. I tied the bag tight, pulled it from the bin, and stepped out into the night air. The lid stuck. I yanked it up, tossed the bag in, then paused. Something white caught my eye. Not the usual junk. A sheet, folded, crumpled, smeared at the edges. I pulled it out. Photocopy. Grainy text. Half-legible lines. Request to transfer tenancy agreement, new tenant, Lorena S. Vaughn, co-resident Jesse Vaughn. Current occupant, crossed out Marilee Vaughn. I stared at the bottom. There was my name. Scrawled. Wrong curve in the M. The V tilted up instead of down. It looked nothing like my writing. They'd tried to forge it. Not in court, not at a bank. In practice. I didn't blink. My fingers stilled mid-fold. My jaw locked. Lips pressed flat. It wasn't the form that hurt. It was the date, dated 2 weeks ago. Before the burned hand. Before the chair was missing. Before the wall went empty. They'd planned this before the insults. I folded the paper once neat and square and slid it into my coat pocket. The trash bag still hung from my hand. I turned around. Walked back to the house. Through the door. Past the hallway. Into the kitchen. I didn't dump the bag. Didn't set it down. I just stood there, one hand holding the lie, the other holding the proof. I sat up in bed. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't lie still. At 2 a.m., I opened the bottom drawer. Pulled out the blue folder. Snapped the clasps, laid everything on the bed one sheet at a time. Lease agreement, my name at the top. Utilities, electric, gas, internet. All billed to me. Deposit slip. 5 years ago. My check, my signature. Certified copies, original stamps, nothing missing. I read each one. Carefully, slowly, no rush. The forged paper was still in my coat pocket. I laid it beside the real lease. The difference was laughable. My hand hovered over the pile. It didn't shake. I sat straighter. My shoulders relaxed. A small card slipped out from the folder, landed on the bedspread. M. Daniels, housing attorney, retired. In pencil, faint but clear, a number. I stared at it for a moment, then reached for the landline. Pressed the buttons one by one. It rang once. Twice. then a sleepy voice. "Hello." I cleared my throat. "It's Marilee Vaughn," I said. "It's time." Lorena poured the wine, clinked her glass against Jesse's, sat down like she was hosting a show. "We submitted the co-leaseholder forms today," she said, slicing into her chicken. "Took forever, but it's done." I didn't look up right away. Jesse chewed slow, swallowed. Didn't meet my eyes. "That's a big step," I said. "Finally." "Sounds exciting." I smiled. Not wide, not forced, just enough. Lorena kept talking plans for repainting, replacing the old carpet, getting our names on everything properly. I picked up my fork, twirled the salad a bit, watched her hand as she gestured too quick, too loose, too sure. My gaze lingered on the spot where her wedding ring spun too fast around her knuckle. The silence between her words was louder than she realized. They thought it was done, that I'd been erased already. That morning I'd stood inside the notary's office at 9:15 sharp. Handed over my lease. The woman behind the desk checked every line, stamped it fresh, and handed it back with both hands. Original copy, recertified, legally protected, updated with the latest title codes. I took it without a word. At dinner, I ate my chicken slowly. Listened to Lorena list colors for the walls like she'd bought them with her own money. I placed my fork down gently, perfectly aligned with the edge of the plate. I opened the door before the second knock. The driver nodded, handed me a clipboard. I gave him the list. He didn't ask questions. Behind him, the truck engine stayed on. First box came out, then the second. Fast. Focused. Lorena's voice exploded from the hallway. "What is this?" "Who told them, Jesse, wake up?" She ran barefoot into the living room, hair wild, shirt wrinkled. Jesse stumbled in behind her, pulling on Jean's eyes still half closed. "What's going on?" he asked, but his voice had no weight. I stood by the door, folder in one hand, ID and lease in the other. Lorena screamed, "Tell them to stop. This is our place." The officer stepped forward, calm, solid. I handed him the papers. He read them once, checked the address, looked up at Lorena. "Only name on the lease is Marilee Vaughn," he said. "This removal is lawful." Jesse opened his mouth, then shut it. Lorena started crying. Not real tears, no shaking, no breath hitch, just sound. I didn't move, didn't speak. The officer handed my documents back. "We'll make sure it goes quickly, ma'am." I nodded once. They packed fast. Furniture, boxes, decorations that never felt like mine. The chair that used to be mine. The mirror that never showed me. No one asked where they were going. As the last box rolled down the ramp, I stepped back inside alone, steady. Someone knocked, not loud, not soft, careful. I opened the door and stopped there. Jesse stood on the step, hands empty, shoulders rounded. Lorena sat in the car at the curb, arms crossed, staring straight ahead, like the house was already a closed subject. "Can we talk?" he said. I didn't step aside. I didn't block him either. I just stayed where I was. He tried to look past me, tried to see inside. I leaned my weight into the frame and folded my arms. My face stayed still. Only my eyes moved. "I didn't know she did that," he said. "The paperwork, the everything." I waited. "I should have said something sooner," he added. "I should have." I lifted my hand once, not sharp, just enough. Behind me, the wall was quiet. The photo was back in its place. Not the one with all of us. Just me and my husband, his arm around my shoulder. Both of us looking at the camera like we were being counted. Jesse followed my gaze. His mouth opened, closed. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said. I nodded. "One time. It went as far as it could," I said. And then it stopped. He swallowed. Looked at the car, looked back at me. "Where are we supposed to go?" he asked. I breathed in. Slow. Out. Slower. That depends, I said, on what you decide to carry. He didn't answer. The silence stretched. Not heavy. Settled. I'll call, he said finally, when I figure things out. I held the door. Waited for him to step back. He did. I closed the door, not slammed. Just enough to click. I stayed there a moment longer, then turned toward the kitchen where the light was already waiting for morning. I filled the kettle, switched it on, took down 1 cup, set it on the counter. No rush, no noise except the slow bubble starting to rise. I opened the cabinet, took out the coffee tin, measured by instinct, not habit. The kitchen was still. No footsteps above, no television in the background, no voices, just morning. The kettle clicked. I poured. Steam rose. I watched the stream bend gently into the cup. The first drop didn't spill. I carried it to the table, set it down. Sat. 1 chair pulled out. 1 plate not needed. Just the mug. I lifted it with both hands. Not for warmth. For balance. My breath didn't hitch. My hand didn't shake. For once. On the table sat the blue folder. Closed now. Clasps tight. Nothing more to be said. I wouldn't need it again. I took a long sip. Outside the porch, light flickered, once then held steady.